Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about The Last of Us. Now, I did initial impressions of this series already on my channel about a month or two ago. I was on the second episode, and I felt watching the series, the first two episodes, it definitely broke the mold of how you could create a live adaptation of a video game very well with good writing and strong emotional characters and create good drama. And I felt the Last of Us really achieved that very well, and it made me more interested to really finish the series. And overall, now I finished the series, I definitely think The Last of Us is amazing. I think they've done a really good job with this series, and I really can't wait to see how the future would go for this show. Now, I'm going to kind of give you like a little synopsis summary of what this TV show is all about. So basically, it's said during a mass fungal infection of a mutated cordyceps that basically sparks a global pandemic, and people who are infected with this mutated cordyceps become like these infected zombie type people who would just basically just feast on anyone that they that sees or lingers around them. And basically, the series focuses mainly on two characters, which is Joel and Ellie. So Joel is basically one of the survivors who is living in one of the quarantine zones that is run by Fedra. After 20 years ago, he and his brother Tommy and his daughter Sarah tried to escape a group of these group of infected. But sadly for Joel, a soldier tries to shoot him and his daughter Sarah, but Joel survives, but sadly his daughter Sarah doesn't. And the story that Ellie has is basically she's already infected with this mutated cordyceps, but despite being positive, she's not turned or into a infected zombie basically. So they basically consider her to be immune, and really the idea of this series is that Joel wants to be with Ellie to try and use her sort of like blood or her sort of biology or something to create a medicine that would allow people who are not infected with this cordyceps to be immune to the disease. And each episode kind of has a different sort of structure to where the series will be based on, so it's not always like trying to focus on the same thing every single time, and it does kind of change the overall tone together very nicely. Now, kind of speaking, some of the things that I really liked about this series is I do think the drama is amazing. Like there is really good connection between Joel and Ellie throughout the series. Now, I think maybe at the beginning it was a bit slow and it was kind of a little bit hard to tell what sort of connection Joel and Ellie had with each other. But when you watch each episode progress, their bond becomes a lot more stronger and they seem to trust each other more often. Because what this series also tries to entail as well during a pandemic is that you can't always trust people. You know, you would feel a little bit uncertain when you kind of, if you're like in a group of people and you're so used to the people around you during these unprecedented times, when you encounter new people, it's very hard to trust them. So sometimes they have to, when you watch the series, you see a lot of characters have to try and build trust with people. They sometimes will have to take no risk, no options. And if someone is infected with this mutated cordyceps, they have to just immediately kill them because they don't want to get the disease or risk it on spreading to other people. So this series really does create the drama very well, and I think they've done that very impressively with this show. Now, not every episode is kind of built up on that. Now you do get a lot of characters for each episode. Obviously, mainly Joel and Ellie is in majority of the episodes, and they're the main characters. And you do get a lot of different characters that come from different groups, come from different sort of backgrounds as well. That they have their own situation, their own story, And I think the way they kind of integrate them, even though they have like a very short time, I think they actually do that decently, and I think they do create some of those messages that are kind of important for some of the other episodes. But all in all, I think the drama is very, very good. I think the series also has some really great moments with some great action as well. So sometimes when you do watch the scenes of some of the infected getting involved in some of the episodes, they do put you on edge, and they do make the infected look pretty close to what I've seen, maybe from the games. I haven't played the games themselves, but I've seen like some pictures of the games online, and I think the way they created the infected did look pretty close to that. Although I think there are some differences that they are using cordyceps rather than, I think in the video games they were using something called s'mores, I believe. But I didn't really feel that really affected the overall series as a whole. I think they really had an interesting story. There was some very good writing, and I don't think everything played out so expected that you just knew what was going to happen, and it didn't follow on the same sort of structure of the same plot every single time for each episode. So that was really, really good. That there's a lot of emotion in this series as well that kind of builds up between the characters. It also it really entails how people really build their trust for other people, and when people don't build their trust with other people, people act in a very sort of violent, grotesque way of how they would try and survive against other group affiliations that may kill you or may use you for something else. And I think those aspects that this series builds up upon is really, really impressive, and I really, really liked it a lot. Now, if I had to give like some critiques of this show, I wish there was more infected in this series. I think there was a real lack of them. So I think when they have the moments, it does work really well. But I think majority of the times when you watch some of the action, most of the times, it's mostly between groups of people rather than humans versus infected. So I think that bit was kind of talking about the infected wasn't as prominent in this series. It's a very minute thing because I do think The Last of Us isn't always just focusing on mainly just infected all the time. I think there is a lot of other sort of important drama that they try and create with Joel and Ellie as well as the other characters in the series that kind of focuses on their trust as well with them. Maybe if they don't trust them, they just would basically attempt to try and kill them or keep them hostage or prisoned or something like that. So all in all, I think if I had my little critique, I wish there could be more infected in the series, but that's just my opinion. But I think overall, I definitely think Pedro Pascal's performance as Joel really impressed me, and I think maybe if you were a little bit had their reserves for Bella Ramsey's performance as Ellie, but I think when the episodes grew into the next episodes along the way later on, I think their performances definitely seem more impressive, and I actually really think their performances as a whole in the series was really, really impressive. So, yeah, overall, I think this is an amazing series, and I actually think this is a definite watch for people. Whether you play the games, whether you don't play the games, I definitely think this is an example of, how with great writing, great dialogue, great action, and sort of impressive visuals, that you can actually create a video game adaptation of a series that can really work and actually be suitable for TV and film. So overall, I'm gonna give The Last of Us a 9 out of 10. I really virtually don't have many complaints about this series, apart from maybe there's a lack of infected in this series, and I think also I will also speak. Some episodes did have a very lackluster feel to them, but it was I felt only one or two episodes felt that way. Majority of the episodes were really, really impressive. Great drama, great action, great dialogue, and also really, really good writing. But yeah, overall, I've had an absolute good time watching The Last of Us, and I know they're renewing it for a second season as well, so it's definitely going to really really interests me really much so to really continue on watching this series. And yeah, that's about it. See you later.